Hey guys, Justin with 1791. Thanks for watching. When I started my original planning for this video, the video was going to be centered around making the case for on-body concealed carry, instead of just stashing a gun somewhere. But the world around us is going to do what it does, and this happened.
Monday morning. Hello and welcome to Fox 2 News at 10. I'm Dave Spencer. At least 2 people are shot and killed. Another 2 bodies found in a burnt-out church. The shooter is dead. 8 more shot and wounded, and still others unaccounted for.
So that has made me decide to make a slight change to how we're going to approach the importance of carrying on body. So instead, this video is going to be centered around a more holistic idea of something called hard to kill. So why is this relevant? When it goes down, when the rubber meets the road, you are going to have what you're going to have for that fight on your person, period. If you need a gun, you're only going to have what's on your person. If you need a tourniquet, you're only going to have what's on your person. If you need a flashlight, you're only going to have what you have on your person. I'm going to make the case that you simply do not have time to go find what you need. So, the shooting in Michigan was a terrible thing, and as we learn more about what happened in that situation, it sounds like law enforcement arriving on scene is what ended up stopping that active killer. Well, good on law enforcement. They're trained to go directly to the shooter. They're not trained to set up a perimeter like they would have done in the Sandy Hook days. So, good on them for responding. But I would argue that that shooter should have been down before law enforcement even got there. This comes down to mindset, deciding to carry your gun every day. And there's 2 people that I really like to reference when it comes to mindset. The first is Jordan Peterson.
More, I think, is that you should be a monster. You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. It's like, no. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it. Someone who is incapable of cruelty is a higher moral being than someone who is capable of cruelty. And I would say, and this follows Jung as well, that that's incorrect, and it's dangerously incorrect, because if you are not capable of cruelty, you are absolutely a victim to anyone who is. And so part of the reason that people go watch anti-heroes and villains is because there's a part of them crying out for the incorporation of the monster within them, which is what gives them strength of character and self-respect, because it's impossible to respect yourself until you grow teeth. And if you grow teeth, then you realize that you're somewhat dangerous, or maybe somewhat seriously dangerous, and then you might be more willing to demand that you treat yourself with respect and other people do the same thing. And so that doesn't mean that being cruel is better than not being cruel. What it means is that being able to be cruel and then not being cruel is better than not being able to be cruel. Because in the first case, you're nothing but weak and naive. And in the second case, you're dangerous, but you have it under control. And, you know, a lot of martial arts concentrate on exactly that as part of their philosophy of training. It's like, we're not training you to fight. We're training you to be peaceful and awake and avoid fights. But if you happen to have to get in one, and I guess the philosophy also is that if you're competent at fighting, that actually decreases the probability that you're going to have to fight, because when someone pushes you, you'll be able to respond with confidence, and with any luck, and this is certainly the case with bullies, with any luck, a reasonable show of confidence, which is very much equivalent to a show of dominance, is going to be enough to make the bully back off.
And the second is none other than Jay Gibson.
If it
I know inevitably we're going to come down to the question of violence. Regrettably, if it's time to be violent, like, be completely violent to the end. Whose end? I don't know. And don't say a word. One of the things I can't stand, well, I say I can't stand it, but kind of the cheesy thing, I get it, it's a movie, Hollywood people. So they're trying to think of like some dramatic line, you know, and they're like moving the pump on the shotgun, you know, to accentuate the dialogue.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah. And I was like, if you think about it, man, like people that have designs on ending your life, don't say a word. And you shouldn't either.
And when it comes to carrying your gun, you need to ask yourself if you're an American. And if you're an American...
Okay. What kind of American are you?
So, starting with in the home. A lot of times I've talked to people, and again, my opinion is formulated from a lifetime of living in this space, from the concealed carry space, from my time in the military, my time in law enforcement, my time as a firearms instructor, my time working in the gun industry, specifically in the holster industry. And I've talked to so many people that, like, when they get home from work at the end of the day, they put their gun away. There is no more grave a mistake than putting away your gun when you get home, because your home is not safe. Criminals that are willing to invade a home with forcible entry, they can get in your home a heck of a lot faster than you think. It literally takes mere seconds to get into a home.
Burglars were dead set on kicking this door down.
And for them just to...
And when someone starts kicking in your door, you are automatically on your heels, right? To put it in terms of Colonel Jeff Cooper's color codes of mindset, most of the time, especially when you take your gun off, that is a psychological, like, check in the box. When you put your gun up, you can't help but oftentimes go from that yellow position of essentially alert and you're responsive, you're relaxed alertness. When you put your gun away, it's almost like a psychological thing of it puts you into white, completely unprepared and unalert and relaxed. That's why personally I do what Masada Ayub would call home carry. I carry all the way up until I shower for the evening. And after I shower for the evening, maybe I jump into pajamas, I'm going to hang out and watch a movie with my wife or whatever. I will put on a gun. Like, if it's I might use like the Fair Chase holster with the spring steel belt clip. I'll clip that to my waistline of my pajamas and I'll just tie my pajamas tight. Or I'll use like a belly band type situation to carry that. And I'll carry that all the way up until the moment where I am actually going to bed, and then I will secure that firearm, and then I have my everyday carry Glock 19 on a shelf that's 6 foot high, so I can still reach it, but it's out of reach of my kids. And then I have an AR-15 under the bed, because again, when someone starts kicking in your door, you have seconds. And if you're anything like me, you've put the 3-inch framing screws through the hinge plates of your door, and you've also put those 3-inch framing screws through the lock plate on your latch. But guys, that doesn't buy you a lot. Instead of like 3 to 5 seconds, that might buy you 30 seconds, which 30 seconds is great. But again, if you're starting off in that like condition white, and like you're completely unprepared, there's no telling how much time is going to be wasted by you standing there in shock for a minute. All right. So that's where your mindset is so critically important. Like Dr. Jordan Peterson said, you need to be a monster and you need to learn how to control it. When it comes to home carry, it's important to have a plan in place, with your spouse, but that plan in place really the foundation of that plan is you. You are the foundation of that plan. Who are you? Are you a monster that has it under control? A good and virtuous, loving monster? Or are you just a unprepared person? It's the reality of it. And that mindset is what is going to take you on that next step in your concealed carry journey of carrying your gun on your person at all times. According to the FBI, 6% of firearms that are used in murder, 6% of those firearms come from being stolen from the vehicle. So now we're transitioning from being prepared in the home to being prepared in the vehicle. If you're the type of person that leaves your pistol in your vehicle, and again, I've met so many of you, so many in my lifetime of being in this arena, you are arming criminals if you leave your gun in a vehicle. Stop that. Please stop that. Carry your gun on your person. Other drawbacks to just leaving your gun in your vehicle and saying like, well, when something goes down, I'm going to reach into my glove box and get it out, like Jeb from Red Dawn.
Here? Yeah. Load it. Already loaded. Give it here. Want these also, Jeb?
That's very inconsistent, and half the time, like be real with yourself. If you're stashing your gun in your vehicle, do you actually have it loaded? And when I mean loaded, I mean, is there a round in the chamber? Is the firearm in condition 1? Is it ready to go? So that's one more step that you're going to have to work through when it's going down right now. So if you have your gun in your vehicle, it might be inconsistent. Like Jeb said in the video, like, get my gun out of the glove compartment. And then he's like, is it loaded? And then he has his brother check and make sure it's loaded. So it's inconsistent. Now, in order to make it more consistent, some companies have developed a vehicle holster for a gun. Whoever is making those, please stop. And if you're considering buying one, don't do it. And if you're considering, or if you have one and like it's in your vehicle right now, stop using it. Please, for the love of God, stop using it. There's a lot of problems with a vehicle holster for a gun. Problem 1, it's visible. If a carjacker walks up and like looks in your vehicle, since it is so blatantly obvious, that is probably one of the first things that they're going to see. So they're going to see you going for it. The other problem I have with it is the reality of life. Let's say you're driving to your local store and you throw it in park, you turn off the keys, and you're in a hurry because your wife gave you this list of things that you need to get, and it's almost dinner time, and you jump out of your vehicle and you walk in. You just left your gun in your car. So not only is it extremely visible for a break-in, so that your gun can become a part of that 6% of firearms that are used in murders. And I forget the exact number. I'll pull it up here. I think it's like 60,000 guns that are stolen from cars. So again, your gun is part of that statistic, especially since it's so blatantly obvious when you can look through the window. So you left your gun in your car. So if something goes down in the store, you are completely unprepared. You might as well just leave the scene and be a good witness and call 911, which is not bad. I would argue that's better than just running away afraid and not even calling 911 or being a good witness. But if it were me in that situation, I would feel compelled to do something different. So the other problem with having a vehicle holster is let's say you get to the store and you throw it in park, you turn off your vehicle, and you have enough presence of mind to say, like, okay, I need to put my gun on. So you're going to try and put your gun on. You're handling a firearm in your vehicle in a relatively public space. Not only could someone like see you and think that you're some criminal about to do something, it's also incredibly unsafe to be handling a gun. You're especially also probably a little nervous, like getting the gun off of the gun holster, and maybe you have a holster on your body that you know, put it in, or maybe you disconnect the holster and put it on your waistline or whatever. Again, at the end of the day, you're handling a loaded gun in a vehicle and you're a little nervous, and like there's no telling what you're going to end up doing, versus calmly in a collected manner in the morning while you are putting on your equipment for the day. You're also putting on your mindset for the day. That's why I really love my my 1791 Cobra gun belt, because that's like that's how I seal the deal with my mindset every day. When I click my Cobra belt together with my belt, it makes me feel like Batman every morning. I think back to like the Val Kilmer Batman back when I was growing up, and like he's like putting on all of his Batman suit, and then at the end he like clicks his belt buckle together, and I just think that's like super rad. And for me, that's how I seal the deal on my mindset for the day. And I encourage all of you to do the same. Find something that prepares your mindset to be ready to withstand the forces of evil for the day. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to get into with regard to like leaving your gun in your vehicle. Just don't do that. Do not leave your gun in your vehicle. Do not use a car holster. Carry your weapon on you. Because the other thing I wanted to mention is what happens if you get ripped out of your vehicle. Like, a carjacking can happen in seconds, and like let's say you're at a stop sign and like your door gets thrown open and like you just get ripped out of your vehicle and your gun is still in the vehicle. So not only does the bad guy get to like ride off into the sunset with your vehicle that you're probably still making payments on, they have your gun too. So carry your gun on your body, because if you get ripped out of that vehicle and thrown to the pavement, like you may have landed on your back, but if your gun is on your body, it's with you and it's still an asset to you instead of a liability to the community. When it comes to carrying your gun like in the street, you literally have less than 1 second to respond to a deadly force encounter.
Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
Less than 1 second. I think it's like 0.38 seconds. Now, that stat is specifically pointing at that stat was specifically taken from law enforcement officers using their firearm in a justified homicide. That's only the case because that's where the greatest amount of our statistical information comes from, is law enforcement reports. I would say that that same amount of time most likely applies to the concealed carrier as well. So if you have less than 1 second to respond to a deadly force encounter, and if you don't have your gun on your person, how on earth are you going to stop that bad guy? Some would say like, oh, if I don't have my gun, like I'm just going to rip their gun out of their hand. And you know what? If that's genuine mindset, then I commend you for it, because I feel the same exact way. If I were unarmed and someone pulls out a gun and they are threatening my family, I'm going to tear them limb from limb. Most likely I have my gun with me, and that would be what I would use to stop that deadly force encounter. But even if I don't have that, if I'm in my birthday suit, they're still going to lose. That's why mindset is so important. Because your mindset is going to provoke you to take classes and to better yourself and to exercise. And that mindset is going to encourage you to carry your gun on your person every single day. Because you do not get to pick the time or the place that this goes down. Speaking of carrying things on your body, this is why it's so important to carry medical on your body. I carry a SWAT T in my back right pocket every single day. I chose a SWAT T because a CAT tourniquet is unreliable when it comes to treating a bleeding injury on a child. I have kids. The SWAT T also sits nice and flat in my pocket. It's almost like wearing a wallet. Back there, I keep my wallet in my front pocket, but just because it's less likely to be pickpocketed there. But yeah, carry a tourniquet on your body, and here's why. Again, looking at statistics. If you're treating a gunshot wound, and we're talking about not necessarily an arterial bleeder, if you're treating a gunshot wound, just any generic gunshot wound, the person that is injured is going to bleed out in 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. What is the average law enforcement response time in the United States? It's about 7 to 10 minutes. So, even if they don't bleed out, a significant amount of blood loss, even if they are able to be successfully transported to a higher level of medical care, even if that were to happen, the percentage likelihood of the individual surviving is directly related to where the bullet hit and if any vital organs were damaged. And it's also directly related to how much blood was lost. So it becomes a self-licking ice cream cone. And the sooner you can get a tourniquet on it here, the greater the likelihood that that pump house is still going to remain healthy enough to pump that blood throughout the body and get oxygenated blood throughout the rest of the body. So carry your tourniquet, carry your gun, do the things. Be a force for good. When things like this happen again, like what happened in Michigan, I don't want to read on the news that law enforcement got to the scene and stopped the bad guy and 8 or 10 people are dead. I don't want to see that. Be an American and carry your gun. And I'll end it with Jay, because I think Jay puts it best.
Advice.
Yeah, carry.
Kind of back to that thing you said before. Like, I like to play this game where I like to give like really simple answers.
It's very simple. We know the answer.
Yep.
We're looking at it, but we're not seeing it. We're going around it. You should carry your gun.
Yep.
Please do that. And it's not. I'm not trying to make a statement to anybody. This is not a thing where like I'm right, you're wrong. That has nothing to do with it. Carry your gun. Please do that.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you found this information valuable, please like and subscribe. That helps us get our mission out there. We're at 1791, we don't just sell holsters. We truly believe in the most American martial art in the the most American martial art like in the United States. And that's pistolcraft, carrying your gun. The martial art of gunfighting is American. We built it. So be an American and carry your gun. Please like and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate it. It really helps us get our message out there. Until next time, carry your gun.